So check it out. Like, I figured out a vehicle, but I don't have like a whole plan of attack for everything about the vehicle.
You got us a white canvas.
Yeah, sort of. And there's all sorts of cool stuff to modify it with. So,
Lawn tractor.
not that,
Lawn tractor.
not that one either. Ooh,
Rusty Chevy square body.
those are cool. I like the wheels. Those are off of like a Lincoln Continental, huh?
Yes. This doesn't look like a lot of work at all.
So, we could have done any number of Ford Rangers because he is like the
A Ford Ranger, a Ford Ranger.
Dave is basically the Ford Ranger guru. So instead, we got this.
Flatbed, first gen Toyota.
Here's my plan.
Okay, drop it on me.
Vintage Nora Baja Ranchero. Race-inspired Baja Ranchero.
So we are doing a Ranchero body swap onto a Toyota.
But we're keeping the Toyota cab, the roof, the dash, everything. We're gonna try and track down fenders, hood, door skins, and quarter panels.
I like it.
It's gonna be so good. In my head, it's beautiful. So I got all the sheet metal from an abandoned 64 Falcon drag car project. This thing was like a tube chassis car that somebody had like hung all these door skins and quarter panels on.
And the Falcon stuff's the same as the Ranchero.
Falcons and Rancheros are the same. The wheelbase was the same. The only thing different was the fact that the Ranchero had a bed and a shorter roof.
Why exactly are we putting Ford parts on a Toyota?
Because these 60s Fords have the coolest body lines, period. And these Toyota trucks have like the coolest chassis and drivetrains for like a cheap little mini truck for a rock crawler.
I'll start pulling the Toyota apart and scraping off bed liner, and you can start gutting all this stuff so that we can somehow make it attached to this.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of a mess, but it'll look cool in my head.
Factory.
I'll probably get this tacked in place and then cut back out a big section of the old Rhino Line sheet metal. If it all works out like it is in my head, like this fender will actually unbolt using all the mounting points that the stock Toyota stuff had. See if this works. Cool. We gutted all the sheet metal off the outside of the fenders, and we didn't have a bed to start with on the doors. These Falcon door skins actually set almost right on there, and they lined up pretty well with the top edge of the door and the bottom edge of the door pretty well. It all turned out pretty good. The whole overall width is actually like 1.5 inches narrower than the Ranchero body was or Falcon body was, so Fred's narrow in the hood, but all in all, this thing's actually pretty correct proportionally. LA Dave is back here working on this tailgate section. He's kind of welding the two quarter panels together and triangulating it a little bit and then attaching it all to the bed floor. We need to do some sort of rocker protection and rocker extension on this so the body sort of flows a little better and we don't smash up the doors so bad. We went and dug up some pallet racking from the yard. It should be sort of a good shape to work with and not super heavy because it's a race car and we don't want to add too much weight. This was laying in the water next to the shop since 1995. It's aged perfectly. I'm gonna cut it there and weld it in. And it will give us the appearance of having a safe roll bar.
Black paint doesn't really pop. And this car it's not gonna stick out in the crowd. So Dave's gonna give it a nice little paint job, some racing stripes, something that really makes it stick out from all the other
Ranchotas. All right, you're just going right for it, huh? If you're in Baja, what's the one thing you're most worried about?
never lift.
Oh, it's sugar. Gotta keep her moving. You got her stuck, good. Can you turn into it more?
Oh, turn down into it?
Yeah, turn down into it. I think that's the, you'll get up on that middle rut. There you go. Now, there you go, yeah. Sorry. All right. Good job.
Yeah! It's a mud bumper!
Yay! Let me out.
You can have your surprise truck back, Dave. It passed my test. I'm very proud of it. Dirt Every Day has built a bunch of big trucks, but we've never built a monster truck. A legit giant tires driving over cars and crushing stuff type truck. So we looked in our fleet and we found this. This is a 1980s Toyota pickup truck that we've grafted Ford body panels onto it, and we call it the Ranchota. And even though you might think we are going to crush this, we are not. We are going to make this thing into a monster truck because we have giant Mickey Thompson tires, big enough to crush a car. And we're gonna go find some cars at a junkyard and squash them. We are going to need a way to turn 58-inch tires with a little 4-cylinder engine.
Yes.
So we're gonna do that with gearing. We're going to replace the transfer case with another transfer case that has lower gears, and we're gonna put big beefy axles that also have really low gears. And we're gonna put front and rear steering on it, which will be full hydraulic because it's a monster truck and it has to be able to do monster truck stuff. Basically gut the truck so that we can start putting it back together with bigger, beefier parts and lower gears. These are basically the front axle out of a military 2.5-ton truck. Both of them are fronts because we want front and rear steering. They have been modified to have a locker in each one and a pinion brake. So there's one caliper on each axle. The rear is centered, the front is offset to the passenger side to work under the Toyota. Now what we have to do is get them under there and figure out drive shafts and everything and suspension to make them work with 58-inch tires.
It's gonna be red. Ah, this is gonna be perfect. Perfect.
This is full bump.
Full bump. Yep, this is as high up as the axle will go. Full bump will give us to where the tires are coming up to about the body line here. The drive shaft angle should be good still. The pinion brake and the third member aren't crashing into the radiator. Like, it's all seemingly pretty good.
These are the wheels for the monster truck. The tires are a 58-inch tall tire that goes on a 24-inch wheel, and so we actually have to assemble the wheels. There aren't a lot of 24-inch wheels out there with a Rockwell bolt pattern, so we have a 24-inch wheel shell, and because it's a one-of-a-kind truck, we got this snowflake-styled center. This is a piece of 3/8-inch plate that has been cut and the holes all machined out, and this will literally be welded in at whatever back spacing we want. We kind of held the wheel up there and looked at the tire and crossed our I's and dotted our T's and decided that we're gonna go with about 7 inches of back spacing. The wheels are 16 inches wide, so 8-inch would be right in the middle, which would probably be the strongest. We're gonna offset it 1 inch to try and push the tires out a little bit to keep them out of the body. Dave's knocking it out on the suspension, but we need some room up here for tires and the air shocks. So I'm gonna cut all of this metal out of the way. Everything basically below that orange stripe all the way into the frame needs to be deleted so we have room for everything.
There it is. That's the start of the subframe. This is where the lower link mounts will mount on the front, lower link mounts on the rear. So I gotta go fit it up underneath the truck and get it all squared and centered and figure out where it's gonna live for the rest of its life. Look how cool it is though. This is like straight up like mini monster truck parts. It's gonna be suspended now by a Fox air shock. This is a nitrogen shock absorber and spring all in one. And you can see, in order to get that to go onto the axle, I'm gonna have to trim a bunch of that bed floor out of the way. All right, the shock tower is all trimmed up in order to fit the Toyota chassis, and then I had to weld the tabs in for the bolt for the upper shock mount. So it's time to set it in place, make sure it's kind of aiming in the right direction, and I'll tack it in.
I'm working on the steering, and this was our plan, was to mount this double-ended ram from PSC, which is really nice, but it requires basically a whole custom framework built onto the front of the axle, and we're kind of burning daylight trying to get this thing done. So I ran to the tractor store and I got us some super cheapo tractor rams. If we were racing in the Monster Truck 1000, you would definitely want to do this because we're just going to go smash some cars. We are going to cheap out and try to do something budget and quicker. The nice thing about these is you can just build a bracket for one end, have the other end attached to the tie rod, which the axle already have, and we should have steering.
Still going.
So if we can't crush cars with our Ranchota, are we gonna crush the Ranchota with that giant crushing arm?
No, this thing's coming back no matter what.
We are in our favorite junkyard in Oregon, and we are here to crush cars.
We are doing it. This is the time, this is the place, and we brought the right machine for the job.
That's right, we have a Ranchota on Rockwell axles, 58-inch tires with the same tired four-cylinder it had the last episode we had the Ranchota.
Let's go crush cars. I have no idea where any one of my tires is at. Yeah, see how sketchy this thing is?
Yeah. No, the brakes work marvelous. Are you like thinking full throttle attack? Or
No,
just like...
we're crawling the first round. What are you thinking?
No, I probably agree.
I'm thinking
I think you're
full-
gonna need to crawl to get the front end up.
Yeah.
And then maybe give it a little bump. And then we'll probably get totally
Sideways.
hornswoggled in
We're
there.
gonna drive off hard that way and hit that Toyota bed. All right, let's drive over these cars. Hold on to the glove box.
Oh,
All right. Ready?
I guess so.
We're doing this.
They can drive over them, Dave. Yeah, we're driving over cars. Yeah, we're doing it. We're smashing Yay! We got a monster trucker!
Let's go see what we did. That
All
was
right,
amazing.
it felt like we just destroyed them. They probably are flat.
Oh, look at him!
Hey!
Yeah!
Totally destroyed those.
Let's go do it again.
Okay.
So many shifters in a monster truck.
It's that Hyundai that's really gonna mess
Yeah.
us up. Climb, little monster truck. And look at us.
We're monster trucking!
Oh my goodness, we're really far up in the air.
It's so scary.
Why is that so scary?
I don't know. We're like 10 feet in the air, dude. Yeah.
Is it working? Look at the hood. It's like spitting power fluid out. We may have broken it. We did it! We built this truck into a monster truck and we came out here and we smashed cars.
It was amazing.
We took a Toyota with Ranchero body panels on it and a brand new Transian transfer case, bolted 2.5-ton axles, 58-inch tires, came to Oregon and crushed some cars.
And then we killed your tractor steering. Good job, Fred.
Thanks. That's it for Dirt Every Day. We'll see you guys next time.
Oh.